All right. Party people in the place to be, vandals and folklore extraordinaires. We are back with a brand new episode of Pink Buzz, and joining us, we have a very special guest, a man whose Kickstarter is, doing very, very well. It needs a little help, but not too much. Go ahead and introduce yourself and pitch your book a little bit if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Arman Nasim. I'm a writer from New York, and this is my first comic book. It's called Lost Magic. It's the first season, first issue, an all ages fantasy horror. Full color, full 36 pages, basically nonstop action with a lot of contemplation on what happens around and right before war, kind of like Game of Thrones, and pitting kind of all the characters we jump through multiple characters' point of views. So you're not just having one main character here, you're getting to see different characters from all sides, all parts of this kind of lost world, fantastical world, and where they stand on any particular issue. And the main issue here is going to be a king versus a rebellion, and how people are caught in the crossfires and they have to choose.
Yes, indeed. That's one of the things that really impressed me about this book is just how varied the cast is. Because you dig right in, and pretty much it's about what 7 pages per little story, and each one is like you get introduced to this different group with a completely different scenario happening in this world, which shows that you put a lot of thought into this. Like, how long have you been developing this storyline? Just wondering.
So about a year now, since just about a year ago when the pandemic first happened, I just felt like I had so much of this creative energy and just had to let it out. And not too long to get this first season started. The first season is probably the easiest one to kind of write. I wrote, I think when I first pitched it to the artist, I had a roadmap for 6 seasons, so for 6 issues. So I think after this first one, I kind of really thought a lot deeper into where all these storylines went. But this first one didn't take too long to kind of put together.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's quite ambitious because, like you said, you have three different storylines from multiple characters from those like six different points of view. So it's pretty ambitious. Instead of like most people focus on like maybe a couple characters in their journey, well, you're going with more a global approach of how each character is affected by this one same event, which is pretty ambitious because man, you
Absolutely.
got you're taking it from multiple points of view. Yeah, yeah.
And the goal was to keep bringing on new exciting characters every single issue. So of course they're going to return. A lot of these characters are going to return, but then also we're also get to meet some new ones as well. So
Oh, nice. I really do enjoy kind of the fact that all of the characters seem to be side type characters, not like usually your big ambitious heroes or the triumphant kings. You got the weird knights and explorers as kind of the main characters that keep popping up in the short stories, and that's a neat little touch. Was that deliberate?
oh, absolutely. I think I really wanted to kind of see, their point of views more so than, yeah, this, we know the king, right? Everybody kind of knows, like, this good king versus this bad, kind of entity. I kind of really want to break it down to kind of see, not from their point of view, like, how does it affect everybody else around them, right? And yeah, so that was definitely a deliberate attempt to kind of really create a different environment and setting for these characters and for the reader. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Johnny just put the image before of that cute swamp thing bear type creature. That was
Yeah,
I like that little creature. Yeah,
that was
we
probably my favorite.
yeah, it's a really cool design, and we only get to see it briefly in the story because it's with the I can't remember his name, but he's like the outcast.
The
Yes.
Bannerman, yeah,
Yeah, the
him.
Bannerman. Yeah, and he just welcomes it like so. That's I can't wait to see. Maybe I'm a sucker for like a protagonist with like a side character like an animal or You know, kind of like in We Live, like Humboldt and Alice. Like I love that dynamic of like that companionship where it's like that unbreakable companionship. So I'm anxious to see if that develops between the two characters and they like how they're devoted to one another. Like I love those kind of stories. So I'm really hoping that's probably maybe the direction you're going to go with them. And you know, the bear's too cute just to be. So I'm wondering if it has some kind of special ability where
He
it can really start kicking ass, you know, when the shit hits the fan. Or
Yes,
so I'm anxious to see. Like that was the little character that intrigued me the most, you know, because there's a lot of mystery surrounding that character because it's not
definitely.
a recognizable, like not a knight, not a, you know, it's a mythical fantasy creature where like the possibilities are limitless on what you can do, and just there's no the rules don't apply here because it's like a brand new character that you kind of made up. So I'm really anxious to see where you go with that character.
Absolutely. And, you bring up that there's also another pet. That was kind of one of the things. I think there's actually two other pets, companions to these characters.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
true. Yeah,
the little triceratops.
Triceratops.
Yes.
Yeah,
Little triceratops. And then the bird
the
TT. But,
TT.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I definitely want to kind of play with this companionship aspect. And this one was definitely really special and is probably the most wild out of all of them because we kind of see it, being formed before our very eyes for this one.
Hmm.
This and then where it kind of came from, that's a mystery that kind of everybody's trying to explore as well. And we will definitely take it to some really fun, exciting places.
That's cool. Yeah, because I like the way it's introduced too. Because you know he looks back, you see it moving a little bit, so you see him a little bit, and it's more ambiguous, right? You know, it's like
Yes.
some kind of creature, and you're not sure. And then I like the way then when they're introduced, and yeah, it was a nice little moment. I like it. I love
yeah.
that. Yeah.
Dude just gets drunk and puts it on his head, basically, right? Just
Yeah,
partying with it.
exactly.
Mm,
It was
mm,
hilarious. Yeah.
yeah.
Right off the bat, I was really, really excited to get a hold of you because, of course, I was messing around on Kickstarter and I backed the PDF because you were insane enough to be like, hey, man, give me $1 and tell somebody about the book. And, that's kind of all I need. So I took that risk. And the next thing I know, you hit me up and you asked me if you could come on the show, and I asked if you had a preview. I didn't think you were going to give me the whole issue, and I read this thing, and yeah, I'm pretty blown away, man. I think that you've really kind of created your own little niche in the fantastical realm because you're not trying to do Game of Thrones again. You're not trying to do Lord of the Rings again. You have a very big cast, like something like Game of Thrones, but I don't know. I think what you're trying to do is a lot more fun. The only thing that I'm really kind of interested in is which characters are going to be kind of the more main ones. Can you kind of um, list one of those that we should look out for in the future from this first issue? That
Yeah, I would definitely say, looking back after I wrote it, I decided that the easiest way to kind of grasp the stories for first time readers would be this kind of looming war going on between, I would say that Avla, who is kind of this, the leader of the kingdom's army, she would probably be, kind of like not more of a main character, but maybe that kind of character people can kind of will always kind of look and see. She's kind of always on the move. People always are talking about her, hearing rumors and these things, news is being spread. Versus the other character, which is the changeling, and he's the leader of the rebellion, and he's kind of arguably the most powerful, monster, known on this lost world because he can kind of change into any character, and you never really see him coming. So that's kind of really kind of for this first season where I kind of wanted to kind of put the main focus on because I think it's easily graspable. But I don't think that there is a main character. I think that a lot of these characters are going to kind of jump in and out, and the main story is going to be kind of this world as we kind of explore it a little bit more. I love all these characters kind of equally. I think that we'll see them all pop up and out, and in and out, and kind of see where their stories take them. Yeah. And I appreciate everything you said about the PDF because I remember when you messaged me back, I was like, oh yeah, that's super cool. I checked everything out, you were doing, and I'm like, definitely wanted to kind of give people no reason not to kind of jump into this world with $1.
Yeah, that is something I've got to stress and really emphasize is $1 for a full comic. I mean, you can't even buy a chocolate bar anymore for $1 for crying out loud. So people go and fund this. Even just get the PDF, get the physical copy if you're into physical copies. But I mean, that is a steal. $1 for a comic is a steal. I don't care. It's an original news story that you're getting for $1. So you'd be insane not just even if fantasy's not your thing, man, give it a shot. You'll probably enjoy it quite a bit for $1, man. There's no reason not to at least back this for $1 or go get the physical copy and enjoy it in its physical form as well. So man, go check this out. I think the Kickstarter is funded to about 75% right now. You've got about 10 days left, just over a week. So man, people go give Arman a hand, man. Go back his book because he's almost there, and there's definitely a lot of fun stuff to read in this comic. And if you're a fan of fantasy, then it should just tickle your fancy for sure.
Well, because it's jam packed with neat characters. Another one of my favorites would have to be the Earthling. I really liked the little interlude with her and the two knights, and just you didn't show it, but the way they described the way her powers work, where she moves the ink on her body, I'm really interested to see that tackled in the future of the series. Like that sounds really really awesome.
Definitely, she was actually the first character that I kind of ever created in this universe, and then I tackled in that first episode. That's kind of where it all kind of started, and so she kind of like started the entire kind of universe and all the character cast. So that was kind of she definitely has like a special place in the world for sure, and I'm glad she's your favorite. Yeah.
Oh, definitely her and the explorer guy. I forget his
Oh
name.
yeah, Jakor. Yes.
Jakor. Yeah, I really liked his little short with the elephant and the giants and stuff. Really interesting stuff. The focus of the book is the fact that magic is being lost in this kingdom. But the weird little glimpses we get of how magic works in it's so creative. It's so different. Can you kind of break down how the magic actually does work in your kingdom? Because we do get little glimpses of it in the book, but they're kind of later on. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So this we're kind of put into a time, or the moment we jump into the story, already we know something's happening with magic. So this lost world is bursting with magic, or at the very least, it used to be, and currently we're jumping into a situation where, mysteriously almost that magic starts dying on this world, and nobody kind of knows the reason why. They're all trying to not only figure out why, but figure out how to move forward from it and what that kind of means for their daily lives, and of course their powers and kind of how what kind of happens next, and what happens now to their own strengths and in their place in the world. So uh, so I would say that almost a kind of the way the magic world works in this world is that almost everybody has one. It's kind of uh, they were kind of born with it and kind of it's passed down through them. In different situations, they have magic flowing through them, and the way they use it, or kind of not use it, is kind of up to them. So
Mm. Well, you see an example of that in the story at one point where the character just gets overwhelmed with emotion, and all of a sudden, woof, like you say, their power is kind of unleashed and revealed in that moment, which is a great panel too. That panel where it's revealed with the fist in the air, like I love that
yes,
panel. That's a beautiful panel. Yeah,
oh, thank you, man.
the colors are great, and I love that panel. That was one of my favorite panels in this issue. Yeah,
Oh man, yeah, I think the one you're talking about is actually on the Kickstarter page. Yeah, it's the
yeah,
episode 2. Yep.
yeah. That's a great panel. Great panel. Yeah.
Speaking of your artist, how did you hook up with them, and kind of what's your guys' background together?
So I really was just kind of again scrolling through Instagram and Facebook at the time, kind of just looking. So I didn't really have too much of a story. I kind of knew the world I wanted to kind of jump into. Of course, again, no real characters, but I knew the kind of world I wanted, bursting with magic and stuff like that. And then I really was missing, obviously an artist, but also the mood of the environment and that I wanted people to feel when they read this. So then when I saw Martin's artwork, I first saw Martin because Bill Sikowicz on Instagram was he like either promoted on a story. I think it was that check out this great new young artist, and it was Martin, and I checked it out. And at the time I was reading like all of Electra, and I love Bill Sikowicz, and then when I saw him, I kind of looked through his entire portfolio, and I was just like stunned because I've never seen anything kind of like his artwork, and he was such a hidden gem. Like at the time, he was like under just like 300 followers. He was just kind of starting out as well on his on his end, but then we kind of connected. I kind of told him the vision of what I wanted to create. He kind of came back to me with a few monster designs, and then we kind of the very next meeting we had was it was almost maybe like a few weeks later after that. I sat down. I gave him this 6 season roadmap of where I wanted to take this story. I didn't want something small. I wanted something big, and I wanted to make sure that he was on board for something wild and big and fun and imaginative. And he 100% he loved it, and he wanted to jump on board and be part of the team and just create this world with me. Yeah.
Awesome. And you also have I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing her name. The girl who does the
Elizabetta.
chapter
Yes.
breaks. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
She also does some great work, like the shot with the Swamp Thing bear there, the nature bear or whatever you want to call him. Like that's a great one. And Johnny posted. Uh, I keep forgetting the characters' names, but the first one with the sword, the guardian or the leader of the army,
the
Avala.
yeah,
Yeah,
Avila, yeah,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. Like there's those chapter break covers are. She does a great
Definitely.
job as well. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
definitely
I
beautiful to do.
again I saw it, and again I was like it's such like kind of hidden gems, and it was kind of unlike something I've kind of seen. And she brought like a different appearance. She showed like a different side of I think this lost world that I was trying to create, and I think it really juxtaposed well and added well to Martin's line art and the colors.
Oh, the coloring is very interesting. I mean, there's a lot of pairings that I wouldn't particularly guess would work in a fantasy book, like a lot of yellows and blues together, and it really does create a kind of original look for a book. You know what I mean? It kind of reminds me of. I remember when Boom first came out, they had really bold colorings. Nobody was using like those purples and oranges and stuff like they were when they first started doing that kind of coloring, and that's kind of what his colors remind me of when I'm looking through this. I mean, like it's very bold looking.
Yeah, and it wasn't kind of easy to find a pairing with Martin's art. I went through a bunch of colorists, kind of reaching out. A lot of them said they couldn't even do it. They're like, I can't color this, and it kind of kind of took a little time. But then when I found Michael, he was definitely down for the challenge, and he was like, it's like yes, I love whatever you're doing here. I want to be a part of it. And when I first saw, I think the first page he sent me was actually this first one on the Kickstarter page of episode two. Um, it kind of just blew my mind. It kind of, it really brought out versus black or white, what the world could be and what it could look like, and bright and colorful, kind of to resemble this this magical world that it really
Mm.
took my breath away. And I was so excited when I first saw that page, and I'm like, Michael's the one. So yeah, I and he's just been blowing it out of the water ever since.
No
Yes,
joke
because you
though. No disrespect to him, but Martin's art in black and white is gorgeous as well. I would
yeah.
definitely maybe put out a black and white version of the PDF as well for fans because
Definitely.
I love the black and white version at the back of the PDF that you provided for me. I mean,
Yes,
The
there's
Ash
a. It is an
gorgeous.
Ashcan copy, and
Ashcan,
I am
yeah.
giving away in my digital Dreamer tier for
Oh,
19
okay.
bucks. Yeah.
And I could see how colorists would find it daunting because Martin has a very ink heavy style. So I
Yes.
could see how colorists would have a hard time trying to find like a balance, like where they can express themselves and it doesn't get too muddled with his art and stuff. So I could see how you had a challenge, but like I said, his black and white, you really see like his style of how he inks and like and the ashcan is definitely it was a nice little touch. Like we both loved getting that black and white because I love seeing like I love seeing any book in black and white just to see like the difference or where the color brings in different aspects to the art and highlights things, and it's really fun to see that. So man, that's a great idea, putting out the ash can for people to see.
Oh man, yeah. I'd love. I know. I'd love everybody to kind of see the ash can. I even have, the print copy. I definitely want people to kind of see it because it was just so beautiful. And when I first got these pages in black and white, every single time I was kind of just like speechless, and I was like, damn, it's like super exciting to see.
So the big question, if you could get asked by anybody to put your book out for you, who would you be most interested in hearing from? Scout, Vault? Do you have anybody in mind that you would really like to see Lost Magic under the banner of?
Uh, you know, Definitely. You kind of named some really cool ones. I would say right now what Vault's doing as like kind of like a newcomer on the scene is really cool. Um, Kind of but I kind of still like the old school like Dark Horse
Yeah,
and
straight up.
kind of seeing kind of what they've been doing with Buffy for years and that's kind of like I have great memories like reading those comics. I would say I'm down for kind of really anybody who can kind of promote me a little bit more, kind of get some more eyes on my content. Obviously, I think Image is the hardest to kind of get noticed from, but right now I just want people to back the Kickstarter. I
Yeah,
think right now that's kind of my main goal, and I kind of want to really build a platform there and a fan base and kind of go one step at a time. But yeah, the Vault right now. I've been reading a lot of like Michael Moretti. He's been doing some great stuff
yeah.
with some horror comics that he has on there. So that would be a very cool kind of thing to get.
Yeah, that's where I'd see it kind of landing and being kind of perfectly at home. Like personally, that's why I kind of mentioned them. But I hear what you're saying, and I love the idea of self-publishing as well. You know what I mean? You don't have to put up with anybody's stuff. You know what I mean? At least
Yeah,
at first. And when you're really trying to get your work out the door, I think it's very important to make sure your voice is heard. And I'm really happy that you're writing this book the way that you are because, like I made a point of saying, I think that you've actually kind of nailed something a little original with the idea of fantasy. You know what I mean? Which is hard to do. I mean, it's really hard to do. I mean, fantasy is, a very
yeah,
crowded genre. So,
yeah. And in addition to kind of all writing it, I did all the editing and the design. I think that was something I really wanted to take on for kind of the first time as well. All the interior design and lettering and stuff like that. Um, so
So
definitely had
this,
full control of it. Yeah.
yeah, this is like you said, this is your first comic. So in the process so far, what are aspects that surprise you that you've learned along the way so far on this very young new project that you're taking on or an experience? What are some highlights and maybe some things that really surprise you that maybe you weren't expecting about coming out with your first comic?
Yeah, I would say just tackling it from the beginning. You don't kind of I was kind of like so worried because like it was so big and such a like a huge task, and it's like looking back, I would have kind of just taken it like like one page or one kind of episode at a time instead of thinking about this whole, the overarching story and where it's all going to kind of go, because it does get kind of a lot. And sometimes, I was like, oh man, it's kind of overwhelming. But I would say that was kind of a big thing. But also, just making sure everything was kind of across all the pages and across all, six different stories, because they are different. How do you make it feel like one cohesive story? That was kind of the biggest challenge for me, kind of making everything, just making sure even like all the colors were correct on all the stuff like that I never even thought of, that I would have to kind of like really focus on, like things that to make kind of, because like even from the beginning I can't just like hand it off to kind of the artist. You kind of have to then um, make sure every single step along the way was kind of right, and and then making cross checking everything. I would say that was kind of the biggest challenge that I kind of wasn't expecting. But then, it's all a learning process, and I kind of knew it was going to be a learning process, and that's why I kind of wanted to jump in. Same thing with this Kickstarter. I knew it was going to be a hard-boiled learning experience, half expecting it to fail. I launched it, January 3rd, almost a week ago, and yeah, and now it's caught a little fire, and it might actually reach a finish line. So I'm very excited for that as well.
Very
Well,
cool.
you hit the sweet spot, I think. The holidays is a tricky time for Kickstarters, but the thing is if you have a very interesting looking one, you can skate by on it. And I think that you have a very interesting Kickstarter, and I think that's why you're doing so well. Because if you notice, like it really does calm down around the holidays, which thank goodness it does, because man, like I would be so much even more broke right now. It's not even funny.
Oh
Which I don't
man.
know what I'm gonna do with what Kickstarter is planning with the whole crypto thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. I don't want to talk about that and ruin your fun night, but yeah, like
Just out of curiosity, because how did you search like my comic? Were you searching like the comics? Because a big portion of a lot of almost all my backers were kind of just like new people that weren't fans before or readers before. Um,
yeah, I'm always on there. I think yeah, I kind of just go on and check to see my activities, see what people are saying about when my books, because I'm a super backer. I don't know, I have like 15 or something that are all in development at some point right now, so I get a lot of updates. So I'm
mhm.
always on there reading about what's happening with the books. And after I do that, I hop on and see what's going on to see if there's anything cool to back. And usually I always end up with a new one in my cart. You know what I mean? It just happens. It's just
Yeah.
and sometimes I'm lucky and I get one for a buck, but I'm definitely going to upgrade. I'm getting I think the one with the changeling cover, because it's just so sweet. Look at this thing, man. That is a cool creature design. The mouse on the arms, and oh, that is just so gangster.
Amazing. That's one of my favorites too. And by a great monster designer, Quincy Washington. His stuff is just scary. His stuff, some of his other artwork is just downright creepy. But yeah, definitely wanted to kind of do a cool monster on that cover.
So earlier you mentioned that you're from New York and you have a background in writing. What's your background like? Because now this is your first comic. So where are you coming from? Like what?
So a bunch of stuff that I've done kind of in the past. I was editor in chief of my school newspaper. I did a lot of screenwriting, short film writing, sitcom writing. Made a few things like that. Short films, and films, and then I kind of uh, really like have always like, kind of wanted to write a book. And then I kind of a few years ago kind of got my hands on, you know, I believe it was Monstrous. Yeah, Monstrous
Okay.
Marjorie. And
Hmm.
I kind of really liked the way she told this story through art. And of course, it's not like I haven't seen comics before, but it really opened my eyes what was possible in the medium. And I really kind of decided like that's something that I'd really like to do, versus writing like some kind of book. I feel like I really just like fell in love with art,
Hmm.
super. I got super into it, and then I kind of want to tell stories using art. So then that's kind of um, yeah, kind of how I really made my way into comics. And then obviously when the pandemic happened, I couldn't really shoot anything anymore, and then I decided that I really want to kind of go all in on this comic.
Hmm.
What kind of film do you usually work on? Horror or?
No, a bunch. Usually I like comedy stuff. I do a few prank videos on my YouTube channel, and then I also, do like a mix of uh, it's not really thriller, just kind of like drama, like absurdist, like really out there stuff, but just kind of like tying it all together. Um, Stuff, yeah, like that. Nothing, not really horror. I haven't really done too much horror.
Okay.
So you have a YouTube channel where you have some of your stuff.
Yes, I do. I do.
Ah,
It's on my website, and then you can just link it out. Find the link to the channel. Yeah, my website's armannasim.com, ARMAN
okay.
NASIM.com. Yeah,
So people can go check out some of your some of your other
absolutely.
workings, your
Yes.
your writing skills on your skits. Okay, we'll have to
Yeah.
definitely go check that out. So you're saying like you worked because you brought up high school. So I don't know how old you are, but the fact
Uh,
that you brought that up and that you worked on your high school paper. So you're a young writer, I'm assuming, just kind of getting started out.
yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm 25. I have
Okay.
no problem with kind of sharing it out there.
Okay.
And I, kind of just graduated from school a few years ago from NYU. I never really left New York.
Okay.
Uh, so I kind of grew up on Long Island and then went to school there. And yeah, and then a big part what I like to say is when I, because I feel like choosing to kind of become like the editor in chief of my school newspaper, that was a big moment because I was greatly inspired by Clark Kent from Smallville, that
Okay.
CW show back in the day,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I kind of just it really taught me like something about design and marketing, like more so than the writing aspect of it, like how to kind of design your newspapers to kind of grab the eye, keep readers'
Okay.
attention, and
Hmm.
also give it out to people. Just being okay, kind of like not only interviewing them, but being like, oh, here you go, check out the newspaper and stuff like that. So that kind of really taught me, and then how to kind of really become a writer and to even market yourself a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's a very important part. You gotta sell yourself, man. I mean,
Definitely.
because no one else is going to do it for you, or people will rarely do it for you. So that's a definitely an important skill to have if you're trying to sell your book on Kickstarter to get people
Yes.
on to back you. So kudos on that, man. Yeah,
Well,
and
comic books in general, yeah, people buy names more than they buy titles, to tell you the truth. Like there are very few books where I'm like, oh man, I gotta read Daredevil. Like, no, it's who's writing Daredevil this month. That's the reason why I buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, making sure your name is something that somebody like is looking for is very important.
Yes, yes, and that's a a big part of why this year I'm hoping it's gonna be a big year. I'm planning on releasing 2 to 3 Lost Magic issues on Kickstarter if it all goes well. We'll kind of see, but yeah, I do want to kind of get my name out there slowly but surely throughout the year.
Speaking of which, we have the link for Lost Magic, the first issue, in the description if you want to go back it. And Armin's wonderful work. Me and Joey can't put enough of a nice spin on it. It definitely very fair prices. So yeah, at least go check it out if you don't mind. But getting back to the interview, aside from Monstrous, do you have any other really key influences that kind of really wanted you to make a fantasy tale for your first comic book?
Uh, it's funny. I'm kind of been inspired by a lot of things. Video games, TV shows, movies. I would say that the kind of the really the influence that really shot me in the comic book realms would have to certainly be there was one called The Invisible Kingdom that's currently out there. uh, you know uh, Something's eating the children is pretty big, or something's killing the children, that kind of just kind of like going getting. I got really into like the indie comic book scene in a way that I haven't got, wasn't into before. It used to be just Marvel and DC when I was a little younger, and then now I kind of just really started like reading and looking at all these wild stories. But I haven't really been kind of just trying to get as much flavors as I can in the comic book scene. And then Lost Magic is just something that I wanted to do that was so wild, and really, it is a fantasy, but I like to think that all the characters are super relatable, and that's kind of that was the main goal, to kind of make them all relatable, and yeah, I would say again, Game of Thrones would have to be a big inspiration. Um, yes.
Nice. Yeah, Game of Thrones was a huge show. So I mean,
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people got inspired and influenced by that because at the time it was the biggest show running. So it's hard not to get some influences from that, and
definitely.
many people's careers as well as actors and writers and showrunners and yeah. So I mean, that show was a big deal, and like and like back to your book, and I like you could see you've thought this through quite a bit because you even had a map made of the world where everything is, where each story takes place. You can go and look at it on the map, and like I was telling Johnny, I was like, if he keeps going this way with all these characters, you're gonna have to put a glossary at the back, maybe to like just to be
Mm.
able to like keep track and like just with like a summary of each character, and kind of like role playing games or
Yeah, for
Or what?
sure. No,
just have
yeah.
a reference to
I love that idea. Yeah, I absolutely will do it. Maybe a stretch goal if we could fund it.
yeah, because I was like, man, if because you just start off right your first issue, I was like, man, he's really going for it. I was like, he's introduced like six characters from different points of view, and I was like, man, I'm gonna need like a cheat sheet at the
A
end
cheat
just
sheet.
to be sure that I can keep track of
Yeah,
everything that's going on. Yeah.
yeah. I would. I like to think that it has high readability. Because of that, and
Mhm.
even the narrations. I think I tried to include at least two narrators per every episode. That was a kind of a big point to really get the sense that there's really no main character, but to really get into everybody's eyes
Mhm.
and head. Yeah.
Well, and another thing is you really go out of your way, you and your artist went out of your way to make sure nobody looked alike. None of your main
Yes.
characters look alike. I mean, you have very uh noticeable creatures too, like the four-armed, or yeah, the six-armed um people running around, and the gold people, um and yeah, I think that that really helps too, the kind of, at least with this first storyline, with all as many as we did get introduced to, like they are so varied that, like, yeah, you don't really have to worry too much about it just yet. But yeah, I probably about around issue 3, when we're about like 18 in, yeah, maybe a nice little glossary would be kind of fun, kind of like what's it called, the God Hates Astronauts, where they got the casting choices and the breakdowns for all the different little characters. That'd be pretty fun for this.
And the relation between the character and their, like, I don't know if you want to call them familiars or whatever, like kind of like how they relate to each other and how they're connected, because you had TT with I forget the character's name, but they
Oh
were
yeah.
obviously like we're introduced to them and they already have their bond, like, so like just a little background maybe on like how they came to like be with one another, and the companionship of that, like those are all interesting little things that you'll probably dive deeper into with further stories, but like those are all little like subplots that are always interesting to devil dive into and you know
Definitely.
explore a little
And
bit more. Yeah.
it's funny, but because yeah, after you get into the world and then you become kind of like a true fan, like then you want more, right? And then absolutely. So that's kind of something that I really wasn't thinking about. What do the fans want more of after getting kind of jumping in? But that's definitely something I'm going to start thinking a lot more about.
Mhm.
Another thing I really liked was the little glimpses of technology you had as well, like in the last episode with the castle. There was almost like a steampunky type feel to it with how they got up to the new structure and the way it was kind of formed with kind of maybe a new style of magic that's going to take over the world. I think you might have been hinting at with that. I thought was pretty interesting take. I was like, oh
Yes.
man, this guy's got some stuff going on in this book.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I didn't want to be. I wanted to go crazier and crazier every time. I just wanted to get. I just wanted the story to keep expanding and kind of just blowing up. But yeah, and then then it's gonna same thing's gonna happen in the next issue. But yeah, for sure.
Then you also have the dream world with
Yes, Dolby.
Boldy. Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah,
that's
that
another
was.
aspect where, where she's just starting to learn about
Mm.
like her powers, or her, like, maybe she's not from this world. Maybe she's from somewhere else, and she's just realizing, with the woman guiding her and trying to let her discover as much on her own without influencing it, but being a guide to try to make sure she doesn't get into too much trouble on her own. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And that was kind of the toughest to kind of to write for sure. But I would say that she definitely has a huge kind of role in this kind of story, but also in kind of the way that people will see the story a little differently than your typical fantasy. And
Mhm.
I think she provides a different kind of point of view and a kind of different yeah, for sure.
Well, because it's looking at it from outside of a typical narrative. I mean, like it's not from like, the typical power dynamic struggle that we talked about with the kings and the knights and like this is a weird little girl who has nightmares that's gonna like play this big role in it, which is almost like something out of Mike Carey's Lucifer from like a Vertigo comic more than like, your typical, fantasy thing, which is a really kind of neat thing to throw in here. You know what I mean? That's pretty ambitious. That's what I like to call this book is because I think that you've got, you got some plans for this thing, man. So,
Yes, I do. I do have some big plans, and again, I love telling people, but I remember telling Martin, the artist, the first time that I was like, "This is what I want." I told him everything. We kind of went through the full 6 seasons. I was like, I want this story. I want to tell this specific story, and this is kind of how I want to tell it. So yeah.
well, since part one is completely finished, how far into production is issue two, if you don't mind
Uh,
us asking?
so issue two is being currently it's almost finished being colored.
Oh,
Oh,
I haven't
wow.
started lettering it, but yeah, the
okay.
artwork is all Martin's line art is all done. Martin's line art is all done through season three actually. So even season
Okay.
three is kind of
So you
uh,
guys are well on your way then to
yes.
having a good chunk of it ready. So your Kickstarters, once they hit, they're going to be just, as soon as they're funded, they're ready to go out to the printers and then
Yes.
headed out to. So barring any complications with like paper shortages, this and that, people should get their books fairly quickly after the Kickstarter is funded.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll get a digital one. This ends at the end of this month, in January 23. So then you'll get the digital copy in February, early February, and then you'll get the print in early March. So yeah,
That's uh, that's great. People don't have to wait for their books. People usually appreciate that quite a bit.
definitely.
That's definitely a great game plan, man. Get it done. Do the Kickstarter, so then, boom, get the books out to the people. That's the way to do it.
I
Like
think so.
the best Kickstarters I've backed that I've had the best experiences with. That's the way they did it.
They
The
were
book was
finished when
the
they
books
when
were pretty much finished when they did their Kickstarter, and man, so like, because I hear a lot people back books and they forget about them because it took so long, and
Mm,
the creators didn't give them very many updates, and like kind of like, oh shit, I completely forgot I backed this, and I think maybe the book might lose steam or hype in that sense because people,
right.
because you're selling it, so you're hyping it up, and then once it's done, you send it out to people, so people get to read it and they start hyping it up. And like you say, the second issue is almost ready, so you let the hype linger for a bit before you hit them with the next issue, right? So then you keep that hype train going, and I think that's the best way you'll build your following and
That's
fans for
definitely
this book. Yeah,
the plan and the
that,
hope for this book. Yeah, for this
yeah,
year.
that's a great approach. That's a great plan. So I mean, it's your first Kickstarter, but it sounds like you thought it through and you definitely got a very solid plan in place.
Definitely,
So,
just like the
so
story. Yeah, no,
congrats.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, congrats, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is six the full run for the entire series, or is it for this first arc? Do you have kind of more that you
So
could do after the six?
there's so much more that could happen, but I kind of I'm set on this six arc, and then I want to do Community had a saying 6 seasons and a movie, and I kind of want to do that. So 6 seasons and a movie, and what a movie will look like, it's going to be kind of like a surprise, and it's going to kind of be again another wild special kind of thing. So I kind of want to do 6 seasons first, and then we'll see what kind of the movie will look like.
So the big event's probably going to happen in the movie book, the movie graphic novel. Like that's where like the war is going to happen or something cool. Right on.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I said, man, I wasn't wrong when I said you're ambitious. You're very
Yeah.
ambitious with the story and everything. That's what I told Johnny right away. That was the first impression I got. I said, this guy's really ambitious with the story and the world, because I thought like you're building a big world that this is happening in, and
Yes.
man, I
Yeah,
wish you the best of luck, and you're off to a great start, man.
yeah, I hate
Yeah.
to be a jerk, but like, yeah, usually when I get a new fantasy book, I always expect that it's always going to be like, hey, look, this thing I found, it's evil. Let's start walking and throw it in a volcano. Like that's how I picture all of them going. So when, so when they are quite different from that, I'm just like, yes, yes.
Mm.
Oh man, I appreciate all the kind words, you guys.
Not taking anything away from Tolkien. He did create the whole thing, but whatever. You know what I mean.
Yeah, for
Uh,
Um,
sure.
But yeah, dude, I really, really love what you're doing and what you're trying to do with this, and I really hope we can get as many people to help back this as possible. I know that you're gonna fund this first issue. It's pretty much in the can. So but any help that we can do with that, please. Like I said, the link is in the description. You are going to get met with very fair prices on this book. It's a steal. Just for the PDF, if you want to be, that cheap. But I mean, like even the print copies are very reasonably priced, and they're huge. Like you get what, 8 little stories, and each one is pretty really solid, and it's basically a little graphic novel. It's more than just an issue of a comic. It's you know what I mean. It really
Definitely.
is.
And it's yeah, it's not real. Yeah, exactly. It's something. It's bigger, and I think even like the way that you get these like portraits of by Elizaveta and all what I was trying to kind of build was something like very special and very like indie, like only I could have done it if I was like self-publishing, and so yeah, definitely trying to create something like new and fun for the reader.
Yeah,
yeah,
our buddy
man, you're.
Manu.
Mm.
He's a creator himself. He does these really kind of neat cyberpunk morality tale book comics, tales from the interface. So yeah, getting really good compliments from him like that is really awesome. So cool beans.
Mm. Yeah, he's built quite an extensive world as well with his books, so he knows what it's all about. He's
Yeah,
been
he
working on his for 10 years now, so yeah. So mm, yeah.
But all right, yeah, I think we kind of tackled everything that I kind of wanted to talk to you about with this. I'm really happy that you joined us and we had a great time. Anything you would like to say? Any last words before we let you plug all your socials, Armin?
No, just thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for first, Johnny. Thanks for backing. I think you were like my first or second backer actually. So I was very excited when that kind of came through because again, I didn't really know what was going to happen when I hit that launch button. So thanks for that, and thanks for bringing me on the show. I'd love to come back, of course, in the future. Um,
Oh,
um,
definitely.
yeah, that's kind of all. Go back, Lost Magic, please.
Yeah. Yeah. Great first issue. First comic for you. So, man, you're doing a great job for your first book, I got to say. The story's fun, interesting characters. The Kickstarter, you've got great tiers that are very, very affordable for people who want to jump in and go with the new book. So people go back this because it won't break the bank. I mean, you're doing a great job there with the price point. And man, it seems like you have a solid plan in place. You already got the second issue almost done. So there's definitely more to come once this is back. So people don't have to worry. I mean, it sounds like you're going to meet all your deadlines, no problem. So man, support this book because Arman put in a lot of work. His team put in a lot of work, and they're definitely on their way to creating a 6-issue arc that's already almost halfway done in the bag, ready to go to get funded by fans like you guys out there supporting those Kickstarters.
Yes, yes.
All right. Would you like to go ahead and plug your socials, like your Instagram and everything, really
Sure.
fast?
It's going to be the Armanissance underscore stories. Again, just my name, ARMAN, and then like the Renaissance, so AISSANCE. And you can go to my website, armandnasim.com, and you can kind of find all my other links to my YouTube channels and past works on there. And of course, the Kickstarter, you can either go to Kickstarter or just type in lostmagiccomic.com and it'll take you right to the page. So those are the biggest social medias for sure.
All right. This was a very exciting episode of Pink Buzz. We're really happy to have Armand here. Really happy, our Armin here. Sorry about that. Slip of the tongue. Very
No
happy to
worries.
have him here. Very happy to talk about his very wonderful book for such a long time. And I really hope some of you guys check it out because this is the kind of stuff we need to be looking at, people. I mean, like, I know that like there are always going to be exciting things happening in the big two world, but you know what I mean? This is what comics are all about. So give it a look, and do us a favor. This is Pink Buzz. Please hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new here. I don't usually do this, but it's something I'm going to start doing on these videos. And yeah, until next time, take it easy, y'all.